Hello again, and welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. I hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for stopping by. Robert Max here. This is episode number 19, and this time out, we have game number 2 of the Strat-O-Matic Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill Tournament, which has the 1950 Phillies traveling to Detroit and taking on the 1961 Detroit Tigers at the Corner, or Tiger Stadium, as it was first known in 1961. Before we get to the game, let's take a quick look at the situation of the King of the Hill tournament leading into Game 2. So as you can see, the Detroit Tigers, the 1961 Detroit Tigers, are the current King of the Hill. They're in possession of the Oldtimer King mascot icon, and the Phillies, the 1950 Phillies, are the challenger, with the 1950 Yankees waiting back at Yankee Stadium in the clubhouse to see who they're going to play. The Tigers defeated the 1953 Brooklyn Dodgers 12-9 in Game 1, and Brooklyn's down at the bottom of the hill waiting their turn to play again. All right, with that out of the way, let's get to today's starting lineups. First, for the 1950 Phillies, leading off Eddie Waitkus at first base. Richie Ashburn bats second. He's in center field. Dick Sisler bats third. He's in left field. Del Ennis in right field bats fourth. Willie Jones, the third baseman, bats fifth. Granny Hammer, the shortstop, bats sixth. Andy Semenick, the catcher, bats seventh. Mike Goliath, the second baseman, bats eighth. And batting ninth and on the mound is pitcher Robin Roberts. In 1950, he was 20-11 with a 3.02 ERA. With 304 innings pitched, he is a number 1 hitting pitcher, so we will replace his pitching card in the lineup with a number 1 pitcher hitting card. Now for the home team, the 1961 Detroit Tigers. Leading off at second base is Jake Wood. Bill Bruton, the center fielder, bats second. Al Kaline in right field bats third. Rocky Colavito in left field bats fourth. Norm Cash, the first baseman, bats fifth. Steve Boros, third base, bats sixth. Dick Brown bats seventh, and he's catching. Chico Fernandez, the shortstop, bats eighth. And batting ninth and on the mound is pitcher Don Mossy. Don Mossy in 1961 was 15-7 with a 2.96 ERA and 240 innings of work. He is a pitcher number 2, or a pitcher hitting number 2. So we will replace his pitching card with a number 2 pitcher's hitting card. And we are ready to get underway. Eddie Waitkus steps up to the plate. Don Mossy finishes his warm-up tosses, winds and delivers, and we are underway. And we have a 6-4, and a 6-4 is a fly ball to center field for the first out. That brings up Whitey Ashburn. We got a 4-6, and a 4-6 is a fly ball to right field for out number 2. Al Kaline's got that one. That brings up Dick Sisler. And I'm dropping dice once again. That's a 5-7, and a 5-7 is a single on a 1-19, and I forgot to get the D20 out. Single on a 1-19, and he gets a 1. So that's a 2-out single for Dick Sisler. And there's a man on first with 1 out. He's an E. Stealing his rating is an E for stealing, so we're going to hold him there. All right, that's man on first with 2 outs for Del Ennis. And we have a 5-10. And the 5-10 is a strikeout for out number 3. So in the top of the first, Phillies no score, and the Tigers coming up to bat. Robin Roberts on the mound. And the first batter for the Tigers is Jake Wood. That's a 1-9. A 1-9 is a fly ball to center field for out number 1. Next is Bill Bruton, the center fielder. That's a 5-7, and a 5-7 is a ground ball to second base X. So we'll refer to the X chart. And for the Phillies, Goliath is a 3 rated fielder. And we roll a 20 on a 3 and select another split card. A 10. And it's a 1 base error. So it's an E4. And Bruton is on first base. Now he's an A stealer. And we're going to send him. Okay, stealing second. He's safe on a 1-15. We're not holding anyone. That came up in the comments to the last video. And that's going to be a situational thing for me. It's kind of difficult to split your brain doing these games, but I know you have to do it. But anyway, we rolled a 1 on the D20, and Bruton steals second base. And let's see. I'm going to mark that over here. Steal in the second. All right. So Bruton's on second with 1 out. And that brings up Al Kaline, the right fielder, excuse me. And that's a 1-5, and a 1-5 is a fly ball to center field B, and the runner's going to hold. That's out number 2. Rocky Colavito, who had 2 home runs in game 1. That's a 2-10, and that's a ground ball to third base. Jones over to Wakis for out number 3. And after 1 inning of play, we have no score. Go to the top of the second. Willie Jones leading off for the Phillies. He's at third base. We have a 6-8, and a 6-8 is a strikeout. Out number 1. Brings up Granny Hammer. It's a 2-5, and a 2-5 is a ground ball to shortstop. 6-3 for out number 2. Andy Semenick, the catcher. And that's a 1-6, and a 1-6 is a ground ball to third base. 5-3 for out number 3. I did forget to mark the pitcher fatigue. So that's 2 for Mossy now that he's through 2 innings. And 1 so far. One so far for Robin Roberts. Okay, so Andy Semenick was out number 3. After 1.5 innings, no score. Norm Cash leads off for Detroit in the bottom of the second. And we have a 4-7, and a 4-7 is a strikeout for out number 1. Brings up Steve Boros, third baseman. It's a 2-9, and 2-9 is another strikeout for out number 2. 2 in a row for Robin Roberts. Catcher Dick Brown is next. It's a 4-5, and that's a fly ball to center field for out number 3. So after 2 innings of play, no score. Leading off for the Phillies in the top of the third is Mike Goliot. It's a 6-3. That's a fly ball to right field for out number 1. Brings up the pitcher, Robin Roberts. And that's a 110, and that's a strikeout. It's out number 2. That's the third strikeout for Mossy. We're back to the top of the order, and Eddie Wakus. And that's a 110, and a 110 is a pop out to second base for out number 3. So in the middle of the third, no score. Mossy gets his third endurance point removed. And we go to the bottom of the third. Robin Roberts back out on the mound. Chico Fernandez leading off. He's batting in the 8th spot. That's a 6-5, and a 6-5 is a line out to first base. That's 1 away. Brings up Don Mossy, the pitcher. And that's a 1-4, and that's a strikeout. Out number 2. Third strikeout for Robin Roberts. Back to the top of the order, and Jake Wood. He's 0 for 1 with a fly out to center field. It's a 2-9, and the 2-9 is another strikeout. Number 4 for Robin Roberts. And that's out number 3. And after 3 innings of play, we have no score. Go to the top of the 4th, leading off for the Phillies, center fielder Richie Ashburn. That's a 1-7, and a 1-7 is a ground ball to third base. And that's 1 away. Brings up Dick Sisler. He's in left field. He had a single in the first. It's a 5-6, and that's a fly ball to right field for out number 2. Next is Del Ennis. And that's a 3-9, and a 3-9 is a single. It's a single for Ennis. His stealing rating is an E, so he's going to stay put. And let's see, Roberts pitched 1, 2, 3. That brings up Willie Jones, man on first and 2 outs. We got a 1-2, and it's a ground ball back to the pitcher. That's Mossy over to Cash for out number 3. 1-3. And the Phillies are retired in the top of the 4th. Still no score. Bill Bruton's going to lead off for the Tigers in the bottom of the 4th. Mossy gets another endurance point removed. That's 4. That's a 1-11 for Bruton, and that's a walk. So Bruton gets a leadoff walk. And he's going to try to steal again. This early in the game, the defense, at least my defense, is not going to hold. So Bruton is an A stealer. He is safe on a 1-15, and he rolls a 10. So he steals another base. So we'll say in the 4th, he gets his second stolen base. And he's on second. Stolen base. All right. So Bruton's in scoring position for Al Kaline. Kaline flied out to center field his first time up. That's a 6-8, and a 6-8 is a single on a 1-16. It's a 19, so it's a line out to the shortstop. Bruton holds at second base. L6 for out number 1. Here's Rocky Colavito. That's a 2-10, and a 2-10 is a ground ball to third base B. Runner holds, he's not forced. That's a 5-3 for out number 2. And that brings up Norm Cash. Will Bruton be stranded at second base once again? All right, that's a 3-4. The 3-4 is back deep and out of here. That's a home run, 2-run home run for Norm Cash. And the Tigers are up 2-0. So he gets 2 RBIs there. And Roberts gets 2 endurance points before the inning ends. He's already at 5. And here's Steve Boros. That's a 5-5. And a 5-5 is a fly ball to center field for out number 3. But the Tigers get 2 runs on Norm Cash's home run. And after 4 innings of play, it's Detroit 2 and Philadelphia nothing. Go to the top of the 5th. And I have to give Roberts another fatigue point for the inning. All right, top of the 5th, leading off for the Phillies, Granny Hammer. That's a 6-10, and a 6-10 is a strikeout for out number 1. That brings up Chico Fernandez. He lined out to first base in the 3rd inning. Not Chico Hernandez, Andy Semenick. I'm looking at the wrong line. Andy Semenick, he grounded out to third base in the 2nd inning. And that's a 1-8. And a 1-8 is a home run on a 1-10. And a fly ball to left field on an 11-20. And it's a home run for Andy Semenick. Got to clear that strikeout down here. Ay. Okay, so Hamner struck out for out number 1. Semenick homered. And it's now 2-1. And Mossy gets another endurance point removed. Here's Mike Goliot. It's a 3-8, and a 3-8 is a single. So Goliot's on first base with 1 out. His stealing rating is a D. But we're going to sacrifice him over here with Robin Roberts. And let's see, a sacrifice. Here's our D20. We got a 1. Wait a minute. Batter beats out bunt, runner advances 1 base. Oh boy. Wait, why isn't there any reading? Oh, I'm sorry. It's not. What am I thinking? It's 2 D6s. Sorry about that. All right, he rolls a 4, and a 4. Batter's thrown out by pitcher, runners advance 1 base. So the sacrifice works. And that's out number 2. Goliot moves up to second base. We're back to the top of the order, and here's Eddie Wakis. That's a 2-6, and a 2-6 is a ground ball to shortstop, and that's going to be out number 3. 6-3 for out number 3. But the Phillies do get 1. They cut the Tigers' lead in half, and the score after 4.5 innings is Detroit 2, Philadelphia 1. Mossy gets another endurance point. That puts him at 6. Robin Roberts comes out, faces Dick Brown, the catcher. And that's a 6-8, and a 6-8 is a single on a 1-16. And 6, so he has a single. I'm going to have to put that here because of my mistake in the last inning. All right, Dick Brown, Stealing's an E. We're going to hold him there. And by saying hold him there, he's not going to try to steal. Here's Chico Fernandez. That's a 6-6 and a 6-6. Excuse me, 6-6 is a pop out to shortstop for out number 1. That brings up Don Mossy. And he's going to try to move Brown over. We'll roll 2 D6s here. He rolls a 3. And on a sacrifice on a 3, batter beats out bunt, runner advances 1 base. So Mossy gets a single. He goes to first. Brown to second. It's first and second with 1 out for Jake Wood. He rolls a 4-2, and that's a strikeout for out number 2. Here's Bill Bruton. He's walked twice. Runners on first and second, 2 away. And he rolls a 6-6, and a 6-6 is a pop out to shortstop for out number 3. Tigers leave 2 runners stranded, and after 5 innings of play, it's Detroit 2 and Philadelphia 1. Robin Roberts gets another endurance point. He's at 7. Don Mossy comes back out. He's going to face Whitey Ashburn, first batter here in the top of the 6th. That's a 3-8, and a 3-8 is a single on a 1-19. And that's a single for Richie Ashburn. So Ashburn's on first. His stealing is a B. Oh, let's see. No, we're going to hold Ashburn there. And that brings up Dick Sisler. Man on first, nobody out. It's a 1-3, and a 1-3 is a pop out to second base. And that's out number 1. Here's Del Ennis. It's a 2-9, and a 2-9 is a walk. Oh, now it's first and second with 1 out. Whoops. And that brings up Willie Jones. That's a 5-5, and a 5-5 is a pop out to first base. That's out number 2. Next up, Granny Hammer. Hammer is 0 for 2 with a strikeout, and that's a 3-6, and a 3-6 is a single. All right, so we have a single with 2 outs. Now I got to look back at Ashburn's running. Ashburn's running rating. He's a 1-17 but with 2 outs that becomes a 1-19. So he's gonna try to score here. 1-19. He's safe at home. There's a 15, and Hamner drives in Ashburn. Ennis moves to third, and Hamner moves to second. Richie Ashburn, scores. Game is tied, and Granny Hamner gets a RBI. So it's second and third for the Phillies with 2 outs. Mossy gets another fatigue point. He's at 7, and Andy Semenick is at the plate, who homered his last time up. That's a 6-4, and a 6-4 is a fly ball to center field for out number 3. But the Phillies do get a run, and the game is tied 2-2 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. And Mossy gets another endurance point. He is now at 8. Leading off for the Tigers in the bottom of the 6th is Al Kaline. That's a 5-5, and a 5-5 is a fly ball to center field for out number 1. Rocky Colavito's up next. That's a 4-7, and a 4 is a strikeout for out number 2. Here's Norm Cash. He homered his last time up. Nobody on, 2 outs. That's a 4-10, and a 4-10 is a home run on a 1-13, but no, it's a 19. He hits a double. 2-out double for Norm Cash. And that brings up Steve Boros, the third baseman. Boros is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. We have a 3-3, and a 3-3 is a ground ball to shortstop. And that's going to be 6-3 and out number 3. And Norm Cash is stranded at second base. The Tigers do not score. And we go to the top of the 7th. Score is tied 2-2. Robin Roberts gets his 8th endurance point taken away. Don Mossy comes back out to the mound. He's at 8 endurance points himself. Mike Goliot leads off for the Phillies here in the top of the 7th. And that's a 5-10, and a 5-10 is a catcher's card X. And see, Brown is a 3 rated fielder. That's a 4, and that's a pop out. So Goliot pops out to the catcher, and that's 1 away. It's going to bring up Robin Roberts. He's 0 for 1 with a sacrifice that eventually allowed the run to score. That's a 1-4, and that's a strikeout for out number 2. Back to the top of the order, and Eddie Wakus, first baseman. He's 0 for 3. That's a 6-12, and that's a ground ball back to the pitcher. And that's going to be out number 3, 1-3. And the Phillies are retired in the top of the 7th. Score remains tied 2-2. Roberts gets his 9th endurance point. But he's coming back out, of course. And leading off for the Tigers is Dick Brown, the catcher. That's a 5-5 and a 5-5. It's a ground ball to second base for out number 1. Here's Chico Fernandez. It's a 6-6, and a 6-6 is a pop out to shortstop for out number 2. Here's Mossy. That's a 2-9, and a 2-9 is a strikeout for out number 3. So Robin Roberts gets his 10th endurance point removed. He has 1 remaining. And we go to the top of the 8th with the score tied 2-2. Don Mossy's coming back out. Leading off for the Phillies is Richie Ashburn. And that's a 5-6, and a 5-6 is a fly ball to right field for out number 1. Whoops, that's a 9. Out number 1. Next up is Dick Sisler, left fielder. That's a 5-4, and a 5-4 is a triple on a 1-7. And it's a 2. So Sisler hits a triple, and the Phillies are in business with 1 out. Man on third, 1 out for Del Ennis. That's a 4-11, and a 4-11 is a ground ball to the pitcher X. Oh, let's see. So all of the pitchers in the basic game are rated 2. He rolls a 1, and that's a single with a 1-base advance. So Ennis singles, drives in Dick Sisler, and the Phillies have the lead. 3-2. And Ennis gets an RBI. So now Messi is at 9 fatigue points or endurance points. So there's a man on first with 1 out for Willie Jones. And that's a 5-7, and a 5-7 is a ground ball to shortstop X. Fernandez is a 3-rated fielder, and he rolls a 2, and that's a single with a 2-base advance. The wheels are falling off for Don Mossy. So the Phillies have first and third with 1 out. They've already taken the lead. And Granny Hamner's up. He rolls a 2-5, and a 2-5 is a ground ball to shortstop A. 1 or more runners are forced. Runner on first is out. Completion, a double play. So that would be a 6-4-3 double play for out number 3. But the Phillies do score and take the lead as we go to the bottom of the 8th. It's the Phillies 3 and the Tigers 2. Roberts gets his 11th endurance point. So he is fatigued and will most likely be replaced when we come back out. Or excuse me, he's going to have to be replaced now. No, that's not right. Oh, Bob. Okay. Mossy gets 2 endurance points, and that puts him at 10. Robin Roberts still has 1 to go. So he's coming back out, and he's facing Jake Wood here in the bottom of the 8th with the Phillies leading 3-2. And we got a 2-4, and a 2-4 is a fly ball to left field for out number 1. Dick Sisler's underneath that one. Here's Bill Bruton. And that's a 1-9, and a 1-9 is a triple on a 1-4. But he rolls a 14, and that's a single. Single for Bruton. So we got a man on first with 1 out. He's an A-rated stealing batter, or runner, I should say. And in this situation, Robin Roberts and the Phillies are going to try to hold him. So they are going to hold him. So he's not going to run because that reduces him to a... I have to see what kind of catcher Goliath is. He's a 3-rated catcher. So that would reduce Bruton's steal rating by 4. And he's a B... Or excuse me, no, he's an A. And yeah, that takes him down to a 1-11. So he is going to hold. He's not going to try to steal. But the Phillies are holding him there. So that could affect what happens here. Al Kaline with Bill Bruton on first and 1 out. And he rolls a 4-4. The 4-4 is a catcher's card X. Now, Andy Semenuk is a number 1 rated catcher. He rolls, we roll a 13 for him. And let's see. 13 is a foul out. Ooh, boy. So we'll just say that's a pop out to 2 for out number 2. And that brings up Rocky Colavito. Once again, the Phillies are going to hold Bruton on first base. And he rolls a 1-4, and that's a walk. So now it's first and second with 2 outs for Norm Cash, who's already homered in this game. The Phillies are going to get somebody up warming up here. And let's see. It's going to be Ken Johnson. He's going to start warming up for the Phillies. All right, so we got Norm Cash coming up to bat. Or excuse me. Yes, Norm Cash. First and second with 2 outs. And he rolls a 2-3. And a 2-3 is a fly ball to right field for out number 3. Robin Roberts gets out of the jam. So after 8 innings of play, the Phillies lead 3-2. And Roberts has reached his endurance level. So that's going to be it for him in this game. It'll be Ken Johnson. Well, actually, it probably won't be Ken Johnson in the 9th. Actually, it's probably going to be Jim Costanti. If it's a safe situation. All right. So we go to the top of the 9th with the Phillies leading 3-2. And Andy Semenuk is the leadoff batter. It's a 5-10, and a 5-10 is catcher's card X. Excuse me. And Brown is a 3-rated catcher, and he rolls a 20. On a 3, it says select another card. He rolls a 20 again. He rolls a 10. And a 10 is out on a dribbler. So Semenuk is out 2-3. And there's 1 away in the top of the 9th. Brings up Mike Goliot. And he strikes out on triple ones for out number 2. That brings up Robin Roberts, but he is not going to hit. We're going to substitute a pinch hitter for him. And that's going to be Bill Nicholson. Bill Nicholson's going to pinch hit for Robin Roberts here in the top of the 9th. That's a 2-10, and a 2-10 is a strikeout. So Mossy, who stayed out there, gets 2 strikeouts in the 9th inning. Prevents the Phillies from scoring anymore. And gives the Tigers a chance here. So here in the bottom of the 9th, the new pitcher for the Phillies is Jim Constanti. And I have always had a problem pronouncing that name. Constanti. New Phillies pitcher. And he is a number 1 hitting pitcher if he would happen to get up to bat. Which, of course, he probably won't, or the Phillies at least hope he won't. And actually, that's not right. That line should be here. Or excuse me. That is right. Steve Boros is leading off for the Tigers. Will the Tigers remain kings of the hill, or will we have a new king of the hill, the Whiz Kids? All right, we got a 410, and a 410 is a fly ball to center field for out number 1. It's 1 away. Brings up Dick Brown. And I had another die fall. And I don't know where it went. Here we are. And that's a 110. And a 110 is a pop out to third base for out number 2. The last dance, last chance for love for the Tigers is Chico Fernandez. And if you know that reference, I feel your pain. All right, here we go. That's a 4-7, and a 4-7 is a ground ball to second base. That's going to be Goliath to Eddie Wakis for out number 3, and the game is over. And we have a new king of the hill. The Philadelphia Phillies, the 19 Philadelphia Phillies, the Whiz Kids, are the new king of the hill, defeating the Detroit Tigers by a score of 3-2. Let's see if we can get the totals here. The Phillies had 3 runs on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits, and they did commit 1 error. The Tigers 2 runs on 1, 2, 3. I only see 2 hits here. 3 hits. Quite a performance by the Phillies pitchers, and no errors for the Tigers. But quite a performance by the Phillies pitchers, especially Robin Roberts. So that's game number 2. Philadelphia Phillies, the 1950 Whiz Kid Phillies defeat the 1961 Detroit Tigers by a score of 3-2. They are now the new king of the hill and will take on their 1950 World Series opponent, the 1950 New York Yankees, in game number 3. Detroit drops all the way down to the bottom of the hill and will have to wait their turn to play again. The winning pitcher in this one was Robin Roberts. Don Mossy gets the loss, and Jim Costanski gets the save in this game. That's going to do it for this episode of Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. If you hung around this long, thanks for your patience. I appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. If you're not, please consider doing so. And everyone, please consider liking this video. Leave me some comments. Let me know how I'm doing. Always looking to improve. And that's going to do it. Until next time, take care.